Play fake on first down. Lagway launching downfield, has a man. Touchdown!
Blitz coming off the edge. Dart under pressure. Down he goes.
I'm ready to go play. Let's play our best football.
What's going on, guys? It's Logan with my amazing co-host EJ, baby. Welcome back to SwampCast. We're here on this very dreary, sad, anxiety-ridden Monday, man. It's been a lot going on the past couple days. We were supposed to do this yesterday. I had the wrap party for season 5 of Sweet Magnolias. So your boy, I was hungover. I was very hungover Sunday. I just turned 21. I'm still trying to figure shit out. I learned to drink a lot of water, which I did not do. I had like 2 bottles of water the entire night and a lot of beer, and that was in liquor. And so that was my problem. But anyway, that to the side, EJ, how we feeling, man? I know we talked about it. You got your basketball hat on. We need something.
Yeah, I'm wearing my basketball hat so that we can all remember what a winning program looks like, that actually prepares and respects their opponent and shows up ready to play regardless of who's on the schedule. Oh, and a team that has leadership. An alpha who takes over the game when you need it the most. You know, can we learn something from our basketball team? But anyway, I don't want to get into that. Let's talk about this. What we got, Logan? What were we talking about?
Well, the number 13 Florida Gators fall to the University of South Florida Bulls, 18-16 in the swamp. It was a hot, humid day. EJ, you were there. I heard that it was hot as hell around Gainesville. It literally felt like a swamp. Surprised there wasn't more guys going down with cramps. You know what's funny? We joked about this, EJ, going into this game. It actually became reality. Your nephew, Deshaun Rucker, actually was the best player, I feel like, on the field, especially when our offense was out there, of course, alongside Jaden Ball. Man, I mean, look, let's see, what was the the score predictions? My score prediction was 31-17. I think you were 34-17, EJ.
Yep.
The irony in that is we got pretty much got USF's score right. And if Florida would have scored those 2 touchdowns, it's pretty close to that 31 to 17 or 18 score that we predicted. Except the game started off horribly with 2 touchdowns. Well, I think in totality it was 3 touchdowns, right? That got called back. But 2 touchdowns, you know, that on the different drives, that got called back. And not called back, one that got called back, one that the guy dropped a wide open ball. A lot of drops in this game. You know, one by the tight end, I think Livingston. And then also VB3, who's been playing really well, dropped a beautiful dime by Lagway. The commentators are saying it was overthrown, but it was not overthrown. It was right in his hands. So just a lot of really bad wide receiver play. DJ Lagway also looked really, really bad out there. Flat out bad at some points in this game. He had moments that, once again, the ball was positioned really well. But the momentum was kind of ripped from DJ, right, pretty early on. DJ Lagway also had to scramble a lot because there was our offensive line, once again, 2 games in a row now, struggled throughout this game. Our only savior that we have on this entire team is really Jaden Ball, who went out there and people were saying the right thing, hand it to him 40 times in a game. There was a couple drives where Jacoby Jackson was in there, and EJ texted me. He's like, did Jaden Ball get hurt? He's like, what happened here? So that's the offensive side. Defensive side, I mean, played horribly. A lot of it was scheme. A lot of it was players. EJ, you were at the game, man. What was the vibe going into this game? What's your overall takeaway? How did that game feel, man?
Man, I'm happy we're actually doing this on Monday so that we're not caught up in the moment emotions. You know what I mean? You know, we had a chance to kind of absorb, but yes. So for those of you that don't know, my nephew is the starting corner for USF, Deshaun Rucker. Grew up a Gator, by the way, and learned a lot of the tricks of the trade from just wanting to always be the best, right? Physicality. And one of the realities is this was a game where going in, the vibe was our fans in the stadium did not respect USF. The vibe before the game, we're just going to win by 30. You know, the SEC starts next week. That's really when we got to worry. And I kind of feel like that's how the football team approached this game. Just zero respect for your opponent, right? And when you look at the numbers, like I literally pulled this up. Think about this, guys. The roster talent difference. The Florida roster has 37 blue chip recruits on it. 37. How many does USF have? 4. You have 3 times as much talent. Oh, and by the way, 2 times as much coaching experience at your program, because this is year 4 versus year 2 for the coaching staff. And the budgets for these programs are astronomically different. Florida brings in $200 million annually, USF $40 million. And you paid them $500,000. And so the disappointment, I think, over the resounding disappointment is just the lack of wherewithal that you have an opponent that you have to respect and you have to come and do your job. That's number one. I haven't even talked about the meltdowns in coaching. Alex Golish, the coach of USF, probably left this game thinking to himself, man, we actually made a lot of mistakes in this game. We actually could have played a lot better. We actually could have caught a lot more balls that our quarterback Brown threw where he was off a little bit. There's a lot that we can work on. And guess what? We still won the game. And so the fact that he's thinking that when UF just showed up and laid a complete egg is just really malpractice for the Florida coaching staff. But congratulations to USF. Congratulations to their team. They wanted it and they had a great game plan. They executed it. Their coach gave them a game plan to have them be successful. And that's something that we need to learn about. What's the game plan for us to be successful opponent to opponent? We don't really have that answer.
And we haven't since Napier's gotten here.
Nope.
And you know, the scariest thing, EJ, is you're talking about going to SEC play. I think Billy Napier has 1 SEC road win. I think 1 in his career or 2. It's some insane low number in his 4th year. I think he was winless going
South Carolina 2 years ago.
And remember, we should have lost that game. That was a last-second hero play by Ricky Pearsall, right? Going into that was that hero play. And so Billy Napier should have 0 wins on the road in an SEC environment. And guess what? We're playing LSU on the road. We're going to Ole Miss, who look pretty decent. We play at Kentucky, who just gave Ole Miss a run for their money.
At Mississippi State, who beat the number 12 ranked team.
This is scary, man. This is scary. We're definitely not in a good place right now. Let's go ahead and just look at some of the stats. Let's go offense and then defense. Offense in this game, DJ Lagway, 23 of 33 for 222 yards, a 6.7 yards on average per pass, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He had a 58 QBR. That's horrible. DJ Lagway, just to kind of touch on him real quick in totality. My goal going into this game, my kind of key stat was DJ Lagway have 3 20-plus yard passes. He had 4, 1 being a screen and 1 being a jet sweep. So really, he only had 2 passes that were for 20 plus yards. The one in Hayden Hansen, and then of course Trey Wilson on that one crossing route or the out route. Sorry, that was a really solid throw and catch, and of course some good yak coming out of that. But yeah, I mean he didn't reach my key there. DJ Lagway looked very inconsistent, looked very uncomfortable in the pocket. Missed a lot of wide open guys in the center of the field. It looked like he wasn't really reading the field correctly either. Throughout the game, I feel like there was a lot of open guys that he just. It's so weird because from DJ Lagway from last season to this season, you know, everyone's talking about this, but it's true. DJ, I mean, he used to always read, you know, high to low, and I feel like he's not. I feel like he's just reading one side of the field now. He just looks very uncomfortable in that backfield. So, what do you think of DJ Lagway in this game?
You know, I hate to say this, Gator Nation, but here's a question for y'all. If Graham Mertz was the quarterback of this game, would we have lost this game?
Yeah.
That's just a harsh reality of where DJ Lagway's development is. The reality is you didn't need hero ball to win this game against USF. You needed a quarterback that could execute plays that you likely have been running in practice against similarly talented defensive backs, a perceivingly more aggressive pass rush, and you were unable to do that. You were unable to connect on deep passes in the first half, which meant USF put everyone in the box and said, you know what? We started this game with our base defense. Florida kind of moved up and down the field, got into field goal range, kicked 3 field goals. In the second half, we're not convinced DJ Lagway is on the same page with his receivers. So we're going to force his hand and we're going to put 8, 9 guys in the box. We are going to stop that Florida run and we're going to see if he can hit a pass. We couldn't hit a pass to save our lives. And you have to do something to extend the defense, spread the defense out so that your running game can do what it was doing in the first half. But because you're so inconsistent throwing the ball, defenses can crowd the line of scrimmage, kind of like we were playing Emory Jones or somebody. The thing with Graham Mertz is he could at least complete at a high clip intermediate throws 7 to 10 yards from, keep the chains moving, etc. DJ Lagway couldn't really do any of that. And it's almost like our playbook consisted of 2 or 3 plays in the intermediate, which USF took away with the 8 guys in the box. And you can't run, and your deep pass is inaccurate. So you can't move the football. And what does that result? You're playing an AAC team who does have talent on their first team, and you can only score 1 touchdown the whole game. And people say, well, we had the touchdowns called back. First of all, the touchdowns that were called back, I do agree the calls were horrendous, that both of them. And then, but here's the thing. They both were called back on the same drive. So even if you say, okay, let's just kick a field goal on this drive, there's 7 other possessions. There's 7 other possessions. And you mean to tell me you can't get 1 touchdown on 8 other possessions? It's inexcusable player development and coaching. And the reality is DJ has all the ceiling in the world, but he's taken a significant he hasn't taken a significant step back. I think the competition that he's playing with are not going to let him get away with deep passes and running. So you're going to have to hit these intermediate throws and be accurate with them. And the receiver is going to have to catch the ball. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to. Why are we in 2 tight end, 3 tight end sets, Billy Napier, with tight ends that are slow as molasses and can't catch? You're wide open at the end zone on the opening drive. A ball hits you. I don't care if the sun's in your eyes. The ball hits you in the hands and you can't catch a wide open pass. You got to help your quarterback out. Give him some confidence, and you drop a pass. And oh, by the way, you're still out there. We have 5 or 6 wide receivers running 4-4, and yet we've got 2 or 3 tight ends in the game that can't catch and can't block and can't run. It makes 0 sense.
Exactly. The formations by Napier are crazy. Like you were saying, EJ, it's really easy to play an 8-man box, a 9-man box, sometimes even one time a 10-man box, because you have 1 wide receiver out to the left, 1 wide receiver out to the right. You're in a single back formation, and you got 3 tight ends on the line. So if you're a defense, you go, hey, linebackers, these tight ends are on the line. Play up. They're probably going to run it anyway. And then guard these tight ends. They're super slow. You'll be fine. There's no mismatch in that position. Something that we've been talking about, EJ, for a long time. We've been talking about how they need to get these young tight ends. They need to go in the portal and get a playmaker there. We don't have a playmaker there. They're good. We're not saying they're bad. They're not bad tight ends, but they're just not that difference maker. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's the formations by Billy. Like if I'm sorry, and listen, apparently DJ Lagway can call out and make his, and do his own, plays and whatever. He has full control of his offense. So this is also on DJ Lagway. But if you have a 10-man box, why are we running the football? Like, genuinely, what are we doing? The entire second half, we were so dead set on trying to, I understand you got Jaden Ball. He's killing it. He had a phenomenal game, a phenomenal first half. But you have to play the numbers game. And if you do want to run the ball, then go to a 5-wide. Or do something. Do trips on the left. Like, just do something rather than this 12 personnel that Billy Napier loves so much. I don't understand it, EJ. It's very frustrating to watch. And even when the Gators are moving the ball, tell me, EJ, that this is not the most boring offense you've ever seen. It's so boring. It's screens. It's quick passes. It's run. Like, I feel like I'm watching like the Muschamp era right now on repeat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like, you got Mike Gillisley back there, yay. But no, you got, Skylar Morningwig as your quarterback. Like, it's, and you don't throw it. And like, that's the thing about DJs. We know we can hit these deep routes. Like you said, we got Sturdivant. We have even Mizell, right? And you got Vernell Brown. You have some of these great receivers, Trey Wilson, of course, that you could throw the ball deep to that can get separation. But these route trees are so bad. It's a bunch of hitches. There's no rub routes. Like, it's horrible. It's horrible. And after our games, and when you go watch, and maybe this is just me, I don't know, EJ, but when I go watch other college football games, because that's all I do on Saturdays, I look at these other teams and I go, I'm watching Troy right now play Clemson, and their offense looks more dynamic than us. What are we doing? And keep in mind, Billy Napier has not been successful as an OC wherever he's been. He got fired from Clemson. His offense at Arizona State was like 70th in the country. He got hired at Louisiana not to be an offensive coordinator, but to be a good head coach, because he's a good head coach. And I stand beside the fact that he's a good GM. You know what I mean? He knows how to talk, how to get his guys right mentally. But as a game plan guy for his offense, horrific, terrible. And he's so like dead set in his ways. And he did his press conference after the game and did another one today. And the one today, they asked him, they said, hey, are you going to still call plays this season? And he cut off the reporter and said, yeah, I'm going to be the play caller. And so I commented this under a post that said that. I was like, if Billy Napier hired an OC, and I want you guys to give me your thoughts, EJ, you too. I think he's here for another 5 years, at least, if he hires an OC.
Sure.
I truly think with this talent on this team, we have one of the best wide receiver corps in the country, I think. We have a top 2, at least, running back in the country. Jaden Ball is a monster. And you still only score 1 touchdown? Come on, man. Sorry about my rant.
Alex Golish was an offensive coordinator over at Tennessee under Josh Heupel, kind of learned the Heupel system. If you give Alex Golish, let's just say Alex Golish was the OC for Florida, we would be one of the top 5 offenses in the nation. That's how inept Billy Napier is as an offensive coordinator. Slow developing plays, slow developing handoffs, nothing quick to take what the defense. You know how they have that old adage, take what the defense is giving you. Well, the defense isn't giving anything if you can't take anything from them. And so the reality is, it is an extremely easy offense to defend. And the USF defense, they were eating it. They were eating in that second half when they made their adjustments at halftime. And that's the other thing that we have to. Usually Billy Napier makes some adjustments in the second half. He was out coached 360 degrees at halftime of this game. Florida pretty much was clearly the better team in the first half, moved up and down the field, should have scored touchdowns. USF really didn't have a chance to score touchdowns. Florida could have. and, got some separation, but they didn't. And then I'm thinking, okay, in the second half, we're going to make some adjustments. No, it was USF that made the coaching adjustments that were superior in this game. So not only did you not prepare the team emotionally to respect your opponent and want to go out there and give it your all, regardless of the name on the jersey, you didn't develop a game plan. And we talked about that last week. What is the game plan other than just showing up and running plays like you're in practice? What was the game plan specifically designed to exploit the weaknesses of the USF defense? Because USF had a game plan on their offense. I could tell you that 100%. They may not have had the athletes to be dynamic against the Florida defense and score, 40. They're going to be scoring 40 points a game with their schedule. They didn't have enough wide receiver speed to really light up Florida, but their game plan was designed to keep the ball away from Florida's offense as long as we can. Let's get some first downs and let's move those chains and let's let Byron Brown run the ball when the play breaks down. Billy, what are you doing? You're not a good offensive coordinator. We've been saying that since everyone's been saying it. He's the only one. He's literally the only person. And at this point, and Logan, let me see what you think about this. At this point, I don't know if it's stupidity or selfishness at this point. Blatant stupidity or selfishness to look at the offensive performance that you just put out there on the field, the fact that you're 20-20, the fact that you've lost games when you've been a double-digit favorite more than you've won, and still you can't score but one touchdown, and you still say, oh yeah, I'm going to call the plays. When Ryan Day, who was an offensive coordinator under Urban Meyer, far better offensive mind than Billy Napier will ever be, by the way. He hired a freaking offensive coordinator last year at Ohio State. Chip Kelly said, look, I can't do this anymore. I need someone to just focus on the offense. We're going to have an unstoppable offense. You can come in. What happened? They win the national championship because he made that decision. Hell, Mike Norvell. And here's the other thing, and I'll stop my rant. Sorry. 10 days ago, what was the narrative? Florida State is trash. They're 0-12, 0 whatever, and they're not going to win a game this year. They're terrible. Alabama's going to curb stomp them. Florida's a great team. We're going to win 10 games this year. We have the toughest schedule in the nation. DJ Lagway is the Heisman candidate. And 10 days later, what's the narrative? FSU's a top 10 team. They look unstoppable. And we look like we're not going to win another game. How quickly the tide has turned. And what did Florida State do? Mike Norvell accepted the fact that he didn't have a clue what he was doing on offense because they had the worst offense in the Power 5. He goes and hires Gus Malzahn, a genius on the offensive side of the ball. Head coach, debatable. But when he's an OC, the guy knows how to freaking coach. And what happens? They look like they're unstoppable. They're going to score 40 points a game in the ACC this year if they stay healthy. It's an absolute joke.
Something you just talked about, and this can transition into the defensive side of the ball now too, EJ. Yeah. This is the healthy version of the Florida Gators. This is a healthy DJ Lagway. This is a healthy wide receiver core. This is a healthy Jaden Ball, a healthy offensive line. Why in the hell did we just lose to USF? Because a big issue that I had when we did our season prediction, EJ, is and everyone watching too, you guys remember, I was like, I think we go 8-4 because of injuries. I'm like, I think injuries will plague us late. I think that's why we take the L to Tennessee, right? Whatever. I think that the injuries late will mess us up. Well, I mean, even it looks like even when we're healthy, we're lucky to even get to 8-4, honestly. And so it's a problem. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think he needs to hire an OC. We've seen that in college football. Defensively, I think it's a little bit easier, I would say, maybe as a head coach, because I know some head coaches have had a lot of success calling defensive plays while being a head coach. But at the same time, even Kirby Smart hired a DC and Dan Lanning. But whatever. So I agree. I think he needs to hire an OC, but he's not going to. Like you said, whether it's the stupidness or the stubbornness, I think it's. I think he's a guy who's always called offensive plays. He said it from the day he's got here that helps him stay in the game. And so I think he literally, he said that first day he got here. And even the first time he questioned it after the first season, he was like, no, it just helps me stay in game. I'm like, if you need to call plays to stay invested in the game that you're coaching, it's kind of strange. But he's known it. That's what he's known his entire career. And so he's not going to let that go. I think if Scott Strickland was like, hey, Billy, at the end of the season or before the season ends, depending on how it goes, I think if Scott Strickland comes to Billy Napier and goes, hey, either hire an OC or you're going to be fired, he'd probably be like, yeah, give me my $20 million. I'm leaving. I'm going to go buy a house in South Florida and hang down there. Then hire an OC. I really think that's Billy Napier's way. And I don't think we're going to see any kind of change. So,
you're right. You're right.
So we don't have too much time here left on this game before we dive into LSU. Let's talk about the defense real quick, EJ. Defensively, I hated our game plan. It was horrendous. We played like pushed off the receivers like 7-8 yards every single play. And so if you're Byron Brown on this USF offense and Alex Golish, the DBs are already so separated from the linebackers, right? So what are you going to do when you're playing 7-8 yards off? Throw screens. That's what they did for a lot. They did these fast throws, these quick screens, these little hitches, and it worked the entire game. And then when they take a shot deep, Bryce Thornton, it was Sharif Denson, runs into the DB, and the USF player catches the ball and goes all the way to the end zone. So when they want to go deep, it works. By the way, horrible play. I didn't know what was going on. I mean, we go from, what was it, Major Wright, I think, right in the 2008 game against Oklahoma? Or no, again, that was 2000, yeah. When he went and nailed him, bro, in 2008, and gave fear to that Oklahoma offense. We went from hitting the other guys to hitting our own guys the same way. And so I don't know what's going on there. I didn't like our game plan coming into this game. We could not tackle at all. And guess what? When we play LSU, these are guys that break tackles. They got some big body receivers. They got I think his name's Caden Durham, right? Their running back. He breaks tackles and made these big Clemson guys miss a lot of tackles. Usually a very disciplined Clemson defense. And so if we play like we did against USF, EJ, I don't know what's going to happen there. Could not tackle. Even when we would get stops on USF, there was wide open guys in the center of the field. You were there, EJ. I'm sure you saw. Even on the TV, I saw there was wide open guys running down the center of the field. Luckily, we got to Byron Brown a few times, and luckily he made the wrong read. He's not the greatest, quarterback in the world. He's gonna, miss those reads sometimes. And we got lucky. I thought our defensive line did well when it came to stopping the outside run. I thought we did a good job there. I thought our contain was pretty solid on the outsides. But the interior runs got us a little bit, especially when we did all of our substituting with fresh legs in there, and we look a little susceptible in that area. But EJ, what do you think about this defense real quick?
Yeah, I definitely think the defense deserves some criticism. But I'm actually going to be a little bit more lenient on them because I don't think the defensive performance is the reason we lost this game. I think there's complementary football. And I think which Billy Napier talks about, but doesn't execute when it matters. Funny how that works. And the reason I say that is because the Florida defense executed well enough for us to win this game. They didn't give up the safety. So technically, and they gave up only one touchdown, which at the end of the day was sort of a gamble. They went for the interception, ran into each other. The guy caught it and ran for a touchdown. Other than that, if you take away that 67-yard pass, the yards per pass for Brown would have been, I think he ended up being, what is it? 6.7. He probably would have been about 4 yards per pass. So he's a difficult quarterback to play against because you do have to keep everything in front of you because he can run and you can't gamble with your spacing. And I think Florida did well enough defensively to win this game. But I think going into the game, the issue with the defense is they didn't get the memo that they were going to have to basically win the game because the offense was going to be so bad. The reason that what is complementary football? Complementary football is the offense does its job and scores and puts pressure on USF when they get the football that they've got to score touchdowns. They've got to match UF. When the offense is unable to score, when USF gets the ball, they've got the entire playbook at their disposal. When if UF's offense was scoring, USF would have to get rid of half of their plays to try to keep up. And that's when the pass rush, that's when the DB's coverage could get to Brown and force some turnovers. And we could, but if they could just spread you out and just hit these little dink and dunk passes all day to force him to do that as opposed to just scramble, it's going to be a long day. And so, and the other thing I'll say with the defense, I didn't expect this defense to be like a top 10 Ohio State level defense, right? If they can be top 20, top 30 this year, that would be great. And I think overall, the defensive performance in this game, I actually give it a B plus. Against LSU and Miami, the test is going to be slightly different because you're playing pocket quarterbacks. You're not playing quarterbacks that you've got to necessarily be in a formation where you can give up short passes. You can be in a more aggressive formation to force accurate throws and disrespect the quarterback's legs, because you know that Nussmeier is not really going to try to beat you like Brown is on the ground. So I think you're probably still going to see a really good defensive performance against LSU. I actually like our defensive performance against them more than I actually like our defense's chances more than the offense at this point. Mm-hmm. So, but at the end of the day, Brown outplayed Lagway, and that's all it took. And Ron Roberts, the defensive coordinator, I think people are criticizing, well, we had the two safeties too deep the whole game, and at the end of the day, that game was played where so close to the vest to where one USF play could have blown the game open. And he took his chances with, well, let's let them dink and dunk and hopefully they mess up, but we can't give up another deep pass. Because that's the only thing USF can do is run with the quarterback, quick slant, deep bomb. And so if we give up the big play, all they need is one big play. Because you see, when our offense gets out there, we can't score. So that's the issue. That was the issue with the defense. Now, I agree. There could have been, we didn't force a turnover in the game. That's a problem.
That was my defensive key going in was 2 turnovers.
I think that was my key too. Or no, stop the run up the middle. I actually think we stopped the run up the middle. I mean, when you look at yards per rush, USF came in. Let's see. USF came in to this game with 4.2 yards per rush. We held them to 3.9. So, we held them to 7.3 yards per pass. They came in with 10.6 per pass against Boise. So, but at the end of the day, we got to sack the quarterback more. We got to get more pressure. It just, there you go.
Got to tackle as well.
Yeah, you got to tackle like Deshaun Rucker.
Yes, sir. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe I was frustrated with the secondary because they just had so many opportunities to tackle right away, and they had a lot of missed tackles, especially on that last possession USF had. We had 3 missed tackles on that guy.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, dude. I mean, it's a big problem with us. So if we can get that figured out, and our secondary will be tested, and I'm a little scared, but it's gonna be tested against Nussmeier and against Carson Beck. So, let's go ahead and let that be the transition, EJ, into this LSU game. The Gators are going to be going to Death Valley. Do you know this is a night game, isn't it? I think it is.
Yes.
It's a night game. That's fun. It's the gold game from LSU. The first time they're doing it, I think, in a hot minute. First time against Florida, I believe, since 2011. Which, just trust me, Gator fans, don't go look up that one. It's going to Death Valley. Like I said, Billy Napier, I think, has 1 SEC road win in his 4-year tenure now at the University of Florida. Can he finally get a win here going into this one? We'll see. LSU is led by the quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. I feel like he's been there for like 5 years now. Second season, truly taking the helm of this offense. He's wearing their iconic number 18 for his leadership ability there on the Tigers. Now LSU, pretty dynamic offense. Obviously, only scored 17 points in the opener against Clemson, but really should have got another 2 touchdowns, I think, in that game. Moved the ball pretty well in that game. They got Durham, which is a really good running back, and some really good receivers out there with Aaron Anderson and Barian Brown, both guys who've been targeted quite a bit in these past couple games. Last week, they played a kind of a cupcake, or this past week, played a cupcake game in preparation for the Gators. Like EJ was talking about, every team we play from here on out seems to have easy games before they play us, so they were able to figure out some kinks there. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun one here. EJ, before we dive into all the specifics, man, how do you feel about this game? How do you feel about going and playing in Death Valley and against this LSU team?
It's interesting. I actually feel better about the game, oddly enough, after losing to USF than I did had we somehow won 16-15. Because I think looking at our talent, looking at hopefully this is a wake-up call that we need to actually have a game plan. And maybe that's the issue. Maybe they were developing a game plan for LSU when they should have been focusing on USF. Who knows? But looking at LSU, and the reason why I say I feel good about this game and that it's going to be close and we'll have a chance to win it is LSU actually doesn't look as world-beating as I thought they were. Nussmeier against against Louisiana Tech, had 5.8 yards per pass, which is well below average. 26 of 41, very below average, had 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He didn't really perform that well against Louisiana Tech. Rewind to the Clemson game. Looking at, let's see. And the other thing is Clemson, yes, LSU beat Clemson, which is funny. I mean, Clemson was 4, but now LSU beat number 4, so now they're number 2. So it doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, Nussmeier was 6.4 yards per pass against Clemson, passing for 248 yards. So it's not like he's hit the 300-yard mark. He's hitting 70% completion. He looks unstoppable out there. He's not hitting on all cylinders. And that's why I think our defense against pocket quarterbacks is actually a very difficult proposition, given the fact that we can get pressure. Hopefully Caleb Banks is going to be playing back in this game. I think we lost McCray. He was injured and now has to get surgery. So LJ McCray. So I actually think our defense can keep LSU to less than 20 points. The question of the matter is going to be, can the defense force some turnovers, give Lagway a short field? Can we actually score touchdowns in this game? I think the score is going to be very similar to what it was last year. I think it's going to be a wild and crazy game. The question is going to come down to what's Florida's mentality going into this game? Is Billy Napier, can he rally the troops like he did last year? I actually like our chances a little bit more than what people think, because now if this was FSU, let me tell you, let me just be very clear, because everyone, you're a homer. If we were playing FSU next week, I'd be like, I'm worried, y'all. We're about to get hammered. We're about to get hammered because their offense can score at least 28, 30 on us, and I don't think we can even top 10. But against LSU, we could score 20 against them, and we can hold them to 20. So I think it'll be a game.
Yeah, a lot of Gators. Listen, if this was at home, I would say that Florida has a big chance at this. But really based off of Billy Napier's, one win on the road in the SEC since he started here, that's why I'm a little bit more hesitant. It's funny you mentioned that about Nussmeier. Nussmeier's always been that kind of quarterback, right? He's always been a guy who plays really, really well, but is just sometimes just off. You know what I mean? When he's riding the momentum, and he did that in the Clemson game. Played very, very well. But then, like you said, they kind of, struggle a little bit in this game. They always had control in the Louisiana Tech game, but it was just nothing really special, obviously, there from Nussmeier. And so when Nussmeier doesn't have that momentum, he will struggle. And that's something that we saw last year when he came to the Swamp, right? A guy who makes plays but then just looks off, makes bad throws, looks uncomfortable in the pocket. And a lot of that has to do with stopping LSU's run game. If you can stop LSU's run game, this is kind of a key for my defense here. I got a defensive key and an offensive key. Let's just talk about the Florida defense and against this LSU offense. There's two big things. It's tackle, wrap up, get the guy down, and stop the run. If you can tackle the wide receivers, because they're going to try these quick passes. LSU's done that a lot this season. I think they have the same offensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken, EJ, but they seem to do these really fast passes, these little screens and stuff quite a bit to get Nussmeier kind of comfortable in these games, which is why I hope we play more aggressive this game in that sense. Tackle. Let them catch the ball, tackle them right away. Hold them to those 2-3 yard gains that you were talking about, right? And then force them to a 3rd and long. Stop the run. Don't let them get, in a 3rd and short or a 2nd and medium. You know what I mean? Stop the run, tackle these quick throws and quick screens, and then get to the quarterback, like you were saying. Sack him. Put him in long situations, because Nussmeier is not clutch in that sense, especially if momentum's not on his side, especially if the Gator offense is scoring and putting pressure, like you said, on this LSU offense to then score. So I think a lot of it also has to do with Florida offense making big plays early. But I think it's really going to come down to EJ stopping Caden Durham, which means you got to wrap up and tackling on the outside. I think if you could do that and force Nussmeier into some tough situations, I do agree he's not a clutch quarterback, and I think that he that's where you'll see him struggle a little bit and be very susceptible to interceptions. We saw that last year. Also this year, if you look at the PFF grades, he likes to throw in between the numbers a lot. So our linebackers are especially, got to be really big there. Safeties, if we're doing a robber, whatever we're doing, really guard the middle of the field. And throwing deep, he's not doing great with. Over 20 yards down the field. That's where that one interception, I believe, came from against Louisiana Tech, if I'm not mistaken. So a guy who is very susceptible in that sense. I think he's had that's 4, 6. So he has 10 passes that are more than 20-plus yards this season, and he's only completed 2. And so I'm just saying, and he's 0 for 4 on the right side deep. So I think if we can stop, if we could stop these intermediate passes, especially between the numbers, these short passes between the numbers, force him to make plays deep late in the game, I think the Gators are in a great position to win. I agree, AJ. Question is can our offense get past this LSU defense?
100%. And, LSU, the funny thing about this, so they're favored by 9.5, so they're favored by 10 points to beat us. And they only score 20 points a game. You score 17 versus Clemson and 23 versus La Tech. That's 20 points a game, right? So the question is, and the reason for that spread is what they're betting on is the LSU defense, to your point, is going to be too much for Florida to score against. And I think when you look at the Clemson and Louisiana Tech film, there's a lot of reason to believe that. The issue with Clemson and Louisiana Tech is neither of those teams have a power run game with an accurate deep pass. That is the dynamic. If Florida is hitting on their cylinders, doing their you know what, you can beat this LSU team. What I expect LSU to do is they're going to start the game in a base for defense, 2 deep safeties, a nickel 4-2-5. I think is their 4-2-5 is their defensive setup with Weeks and Perkins as the 2 linebackers, Perkins Jr. Gooden is a really good defensive tackle, by the way, so we got to double team him. But the issue is, can we run the ball on that 4-2-5? Then the question is going to be, if the answer is yes, they're going to creep one of these safeties up, give you an 8-man look. Then the question is, can you hit passes on that? Last year, we were able to hit passes on that with Badger. Y'all remember him? I'm missing him. Apparently, he knew where to run to where DJ could throw it, and they actually caught it. We don't have somebody like that right now. But maybe Dallas Wilson comes back and he's the person. Who knows? But if Florida can just hit a couple of these passes in stride down the field, keep LSU in a 4-2-5 defense with 2 deep safeties where they have to respect that, you can run. I really don't really respect the LSU defensive line. I think the linebackers and the safeties are really, really good, and they got 2 really good corners too. Mm-hmm. But I think their defensive line, we can run it on them right up the middle with Baugh. But the question is, if DJ can't hit those passes, it's just going to be a super long day. And LSU will end up winning by the 10 points. But if Lagway can hit a couple of those passes, force LSU to say, uh-oh, now we got to score. That's when that pass rush that he is going to be, because when Nussmeier gets hit, he's going to roll around on the field like, oh, I'm hurt. That's what we need to do. We need to freaking blitz the hell out of him, hit him. Hey, they might give us roughing the passer. Let him know, hey, we're going to be doing this all game. And guess what? It's not going to be roughing the passer the whole time. Put him on the floor. Put him on the field. Then Lagway's got to hit some deep passes, man. If we can do those 2 things, it's game on. If he's getting out there overthrowing by 10 yards, Livingston, for some reason, still in the game, dropping wide open passes when there's literally no one around, it's going to be a long day.
Also, question is how can this offensive line protect DJ Lagway? DJ Lagway, yeah. that's what I'm worried about. If you go back to LSU and obviously Clemson, LSU was like, oh, when we get to Klubnik, man, he's not comfortable back there. He's struggling a little bit, right? And I think that could be the same thing going on here. They'll honestly, I think, even get pressure on DJ Lagway with just a 4-man rush. But if they do want to bring some of those pass rushers on the outside, whether it be Perkins or whatever you want to do, right, or even Weeks down the center, that's what I'm worried about. So my key to the game, less than 3 sacks for this Florida Gator offense. I agree, EJ. This is going to be one of those games that it's going to be a grind, okay? So we're going to have to not get behind the sticks early on. We're going to have to always be in a 2nd and 4, you know what I mean? A 3rd and 3, whatever. Make it easy on Lagway. Let it be a situation where if we need to run it, we're able to run it, right? And maybe gain the first. But if we get behind the sticks, and I think we didn't talk about earlier, the penalties on the Florida Gators in the USF game was unreal. We went from 0 penalties to, I believe, 10 for over 100 yards or something unbelievable. And so we can't play a nasty game. Let's not spit on people, okay? Let's get in there and play disciplined football. Like you said, LSU has not faced a good running back this entire season. The closest he did was Adam Randall. I think he was wasn't he like a tight end for Clemson or a linebacker for Clemson? They moved him to the running back because their running back room is trash. And then the next team they play was Louisiana Tech. So you're right, they have not played a good running back, let alone Jaden Ball, one of the best running backs in the country. So I do agree we can wear them out there. The big question is, EJ, is can DJ hit those deep shots? Can DJ get comfortable back there? If he can, the Gators have a shot. If not, that crowd's going to be getting loud. You're going to see some false starts. You're going to see penalties. And you're going to see this Florida Gator offensive line struggle and Billy Napier be like, hey, let's run it on 3rd and 13 and get a few yards. So we need to really lock in that sense, EJ. Do you have a defensive key for the Gators? Or, I don't know if you said your defensive key or offensive key.
So my defensive key is going to be 4 sacks on Nussmeier.
Okay.
I think if we can get to him and sack him 4 times. The thing is, I think we got into the 3rd quarter against USF and still did not have a sack in the game.
Golly.
I think that's largely due to the fact that the 2 quarterbacks that we played are like pretty much run first quarterbacks. So I think this one will give us a chance to tee off a little bit. So if we can get 4 sacks, maybe one of them is a strip and scoop or something like that. I think we can win that game. Win that way. The second key on the offense is 0 turnovers. So that means 0 boneheaded crossbody throws, miracle hero ball. Let's actually throw a deep pass when it's a designed play where the guy has a chance to catch it. And that was a great catch by USF, by the way. I didn't think he caught it, but the replay sucks in the swamp. So the hell do we know? They just said that he caught it, so I guess we have to trust him.
He definitely didn't, but he did not catch it. There was another picture that came out yesterday that showed it went straight through his arms. But I mean, whatever.
Yeah, it looked like they showed it really quick. It looked like he caught it, but it was like on the ground.
Yep.
And so I was kind of like, oh, they may have returned that because they don't show the replay in the stadium. So then the guy comes out, the play's upheld. I was like, this guy's worthless. But anyway, so we need to hit 3 passes of 20 yards or more in stride. In stride. And what I mean by that is it's not like a hero ball. It's up for grabs. One-handed. I got to jump through the freaking stadium with one hand to catch a pass that was really not accurately thrown. Not a pass where it's a wheel route and the guy's kind of wide open and he's got to turn around and contort his body to catch. I'm running. I have a beat. You put it right where I'm right in the shoulder pad. 3 of those. Give me 3 of those. We're in this game, baby. If you can't hit them, it's a long day.
I like it. Well, we're coming up to the end here, EJ. That was actually beautifully timed right there. Are you ready for our score predictions here to end it off?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll go first here because I think you went first last week. You said that LSU's averaging, 20 points a game?
Yes.
Something similar to that. I think they're going to score around there. I have LSU 23, Florida Gators 13. I think it's going to be a very, very close game there in the 4th quarter. Maybe even tied. But I think it's the gold out. LSU fans are pissed about last week. And they hate Florida. LSU fans hate us, and I love it because I fucking hate LSU, baby. I think it's a night game in Death Valley. It's going to catch up to us. We're going to have some false starts. We're going to kind of fall apart there late. DJ tries to play hero ball. Stuff goes wrong. Goes south. I have LSU winning 23-13 against the Gators.
Oh, okay. Not so fast, my friend.
I love it, dude. I'm full mouth of water too, bro. I'm like,
I know.
I'm struggling.
All right. Yeah, Lee Corso. Happy retirement. I'm actually mildly confident in this game for one reason. It's going to go one or the other. It's going to go a super close, high pressure game for Brian Kelly, because now Brian Kelly has the pressure on him. Billy Napier is a dead man walking at this point. Let's call it like it is. I think Billy Napier is gonna, for some reason, we're back on the yo-yo roller coaster ride, where Florida comes out gunslinging, and our defense is good enough to hold LSU back. I don't think the LSU has not shown me that they're just going to come out and just start lighting up the scoreboard here. I think it's going to be a wild, crazy game. I'm going to go Florida 26, LSU 24. Gators upset in Death Valley.
You know what's weird is there is a part of me that has a weird feeling about this game of maybe the Gators can get it done. Genuinely, I have that feeling. But based off what we saw this past weekend, based on what we saw against LIU, I just cannot do it. But Billy Napier is going to have those one or two hero games a year, right? What is it going to be? I have one that I'm thinking is going to happen, and you might get that in the next couple weeks. But I don't think it's going to be this one, but we'll see, man. I like that score a lot, EJ. I hope that happens so I can kind of have some hope again, baby. So there we go. 26-24 for EJ, right? 23-13 for me. EJ has the Gators on top. I have LSU. This Saturday, probably around 7 o'clock, right? Death Valley Gold game for the LSU Tigers. It's going to be a crazy environment, man. I love college football. It's been a fun year so far with all these upsets. We'll be giving you guys our Week 2 reaction and Week 3 picks later on this week. Like I said, had a pretty rough day yesterday, so we had to push stuff back today. We only had an hour to get this episode out. And so EJ will be doing his video. I'll be doing mine. Expect those these next few days. But love you guys. EJ, any last words for all the Gators out there, baby?
No, love you guys. Keep the faith. I know it's kind of a rough patch right now. I think we're in the fewest wins of a Florida football program 4-year stretch in history. I think that's literally the case. We can't settle. So hopefully we'll turn this around, and hey, if we can win these next 3 games, maybe bygones will be bygones. Who knows? But it starts on Saturday in Death Valley. Let's get it done.
Go Gators. See y'all next time.
Go Gators.